I want to be clear about one thing before I tell this. I did not tame them. I did not earn them. I did not do a single remarkable thing on that road. I walked it the same way I walk everything, head down, one foot, then the next, no particular hurry and no particular fear. The Vel-Sarr made their own decision. Whatever they saw in me, I never saw it in myself. That's the part the colony administrators have trouble with. They want a method. They want a technique they can train into the next escort and the one after. I have told them more than once that there is no technique. They keep sending the forms anyway. The Ashfeld corridor runs 19 kilometers between Checkpoint Row and the Farron. Basin settlement, open ground, silver-gray grass that comes up past your knee, low sky, nothing to break the wind. In the wet season, the plain smells like iron and crushed green things. In the dry season, it smells like dust and something older than dust. It is not a comfortable piece of ground. The colony planners routed the resettlement convoys through it because it was direct, and because the armored track to the north had been mined twice. They did not account for the Vel-Sarr. The Vel-Sarr are plains runners, 6 limbs, 4 for the ground, 2 that fold against the chest and open when they close on something. Silver-black banded fur, coarse over the shoulders and fine at the muzzle. Adult pack weight is somewhere between 200 and 250 kilos. They run in a spread formation at about 40 kilometers per hour. When they are hunting. When they are not hunting, they move in a loose column, and they are almost silent. I know this because I have watched them from close range, which is not something most people on Farron Basin can say. The first season I walked the corridor, I saw them twice, both times at a distance of perhaps 300 meters. A dark line of shapes moving through the grass, parallel to my route, not approaching. The second time, I stopped and watched them for a while. They stopped too. We looked at each other across 300 meters of silver grass for maybe 2 minutes, and then they moved on. I moved on. Nothing happened. The convoy administrators told me this was extremely unusual. The Vel-Sarr had killed 4 escorts in the previous 18 months. 2 of them had been armed. The pack did not appear to distinguish between armed and unarmed, between lone escorts and groups of 6. They made contact when they chose to, and they did not make contact when they did not choose to, and nothing the colony security office had tried had changed this calculus in any direction. They had stopped routing escorts through the corridor entirely for a period of 11 weeks. When they resumed, first escort they sent came back with 1 leg. I took the corridor assignment because no one else would take it, and because the Farron Basin settlement needed its resupply lines open, and because I am 51 years old and do not have a great many other skills. I am not brave. I want to be clear about that too. I was tired, and there is a difference. The Alpha found me on my 9th crossing. I was an hour out of row, moving at my usual pace, when I became aware that the grass on my left had stopped moving the way grass moves in wind. I did not stop walking. I turned my head. He was there, 12 meters off, moving parallel to me, 6 limbs covering ground in that fluid shoulder roll the Vel-Sarr use when they are not in a hurry. Bigger than I expected. 1 ear torn down to a ragged stub. A pale scar across his muzzle from something that had hit him hard and not hard enough. Amber eyes, steady. Looked at him. He looked at me. I kept walking. He kept walking. After perhaps 10 minutes, he angled into 6 meters. I did not change my pace. He matched it exactly. Not a half step ahead, not a half step behind. Shoulder to shoulder at 6 meters. 2 of us moving down the Ashfeld corridor, in what I can only describe as a companionable silence, though I am aware that word sounds wrong, applied to a 200-kilo predator. When I reached Farron Basin, he stopped at the edge of the settlement perimeter and watched me walk in. I did not look back. I felt him watching until the gate closed. The colony administrator, a small, precise woman named Overseer Thale Rinn, met me at the depot. She had been monitoring my transit on the corridor sensors. Her expression was the expression of someone who has just watched a man walk through fire and come out holding a sandwich. The Alpha tracked you for 16 kilometers, she said. 14, I said. To me, an hour out of row. She waited for more. I did not have more. I signed the transit forms and went to find something to eat. By the 4th crossing after, there were 7 of them. I do not know how it started, exactly. The Alpha, I had started thinking of him as Kale, is not a Vel-Sarr word for anything. It is just a sound that felt right. KL began bringing others in. Not all at once. One more the second crossing, two more the third. By the fourth, they ran in a loose formation around me. Two on my left, two on my right. Behind, and KL at my left shoulder exactly 6 meters out. They did not crowd me. They did not make noise. They simply ran the corridor with me, as if this were an arrangement we had worked out in advance. The grass moved around me and was still. The wind came across the plain, and the Vel-Sarr moved through it like shadows that had decided to run beside a man for a while. I will not pretend I understood it. I do not understand it now. What I know is what it felt like. It felt like being trusted with something expensive and breakable, and not wanting to drop it. I kept my pace steady. I kept my head up. I did not reach out to touch them, and I did not flinch when they came close. Whatever they were reading in me, I did not want to disrupt the reading. Overseer Rin pulled me into her office after that crossing and showed me the sensor logs. 7 Vel-Sarr, 19 kilometers, 0 deviations from my route. You understand, she said carefully, that this has never happened. I know. The xenobiology team wants to run assessments. Behavioral modeling. They think you may have a pheromonal. I don't think it's that, I said. She looked at me. What do you think it is? I thought about Kale at my left shoulder, amber eyes forward, covering ground. I thought about the way the pack moved when I moved, stopped when I stopped, not because I had signaled anything, because they had decided to match me. I think, I said, that they walk this ground every day and most things on it are afraid of them. I'm not afraid of them. I think that was interesting to them at first, and then it was something else. She wrote that down. Don't know what she did with it. The raiders hit us on the long straight in the 43rd crossing. There were 6 of them. Local opportunists. The kind that follow the resettlement lines and hit the soft convoys. They had good hardware and bad judgment. The bolt took me in the right shoulder, and I went down into the grass, and the grass was cold against my face, and I heard the convoy workers shouting, and then I heard something else entirely. I have heard the Vel-Sarr hunt once before at a distance. The sound they make is not a bark and not a howl. It is a subsonic pulse that you feel in your back teeth, followed by a velocity you can track by the movement of the grass, and then a silence that is the worst part. I was on my face in the Ashfeld grass for approximately 4 minutes. I know this because the sensor log showed it afterward. In those 4 minutes, the 6 raiders ceased to be a problem that required further administrative attention. When I got my arms under me and pushed up, Kale was sitting on my left, 6 meters, amber eyes on the horizon, watching the direction the raiders had come from. The rest of the pack was ranged out in their formation. 2 left, 2 right, 3 behind, waiting. My shoulder hurt considerably. I got my feet under me. Kale turned his head and looked at me. I'm fine, I said. Let's go. He turned back to the horizon, then he stood, and the pack stood with him. And we walked the last 6 kilometers to Farron Basin in the same loose formation we always used, and nothing else came out of the grass. Overseer Rin met me at the gate. She looked at the transit sensors, and then at my shoulder, and then at the 7 Vel-Sarr waiting at the perimeter line. She did not say anything for a long moment. The raider cell, she finally said. 6. Yes, your medic can wait. I signed the transit forms left-handed. Kale watched from the perimeter until the gate closed. Same as always, I did not look back. Same as always ways. But I knew he was there. I have always known he was there. That is the whole of it. I walked a road that other men found unwallable. Not because I was brave, but because I was too tired to arrange my fear properly. The Vel-Sarr read something in that and made a decision I had no part in making. Whatever they recognized in me on that corridor, whatever it was that made Kale fall in at my left shoulder and stay there, I can't give you a name for it. I only know that when I walk out of row and the silver grass moves and goes still, and I hear the subsonic pulse of something big keeping pace 6 meters off my left shoulder, I do not feel alone on that road. I haven't for a long time.